All right, good afternoon, everyone. My name is Benjamin, and well, yesterday we had the first congressional district of New Mexico having a special election. And well, I'll be honest, my prediction of it being about 10%, yeah, no, that was definitely wrong. Um, a 10% margin or about, in that range. But as time went on, I didn't update my prediction to on Monday. I should have, but I think late Monday, looking at the partisan breakdown of who voted early in absentee, I came to the conclusion that Democrat would be somewhere around 55 to 58%. Stansbury definitely overperformed that breakdown. I thought the Republican would be about 38%, and the others would be the rest of the vote. Again, I was wrong on that count as well, and I feel it's important that when I make a prediction and it's wrong, that I say that yes, I was wrong. I definitely expected momentum to be more in favor of the Republicans, but this is definitely a race that there's quite a few factors that were involved in it. And the first major factor was that even though Mark Moore's well overspent Stansbury in the first part of the campaign, Stansbury outspent him so much in the second half of the campaign that Stansbury, her campaign outspent Moore's overall. Second, Stansbury towards the end of the campaign also moderated some of her positions, at least in the campaign. We'll see if that's actually true when it comes to how she votes in the House of Representatives and what sort of legislation she co-sponsors, authors herself, maybe. Shut up, phone. And of course, Moore's never really left his laser focus on the law enforcement issue, which maybe is not a good focus when most of the district is in Albuquerque, which is a pretty liberal city. And as you can see, it was about a 30,000, really a 29,000 vote margin, which when there's 131,000 people voting is a pretty sizable margin. It's 60 to 35, or I'm going to round this to about a 24% victory margin, which is, of course, very convincing. However, this was still in terms of percentages, if I go up, if we combine the Libertarian and Independent candidate, who almost certainly appealed to the Republican side of the debate, considering Aubrey Dunn was a statewide elected Republican in 2014, for my purposes and for the purposes of forecasting in the future, I'm actually adding these two to the Republican total. And that winds up being already 37. Yeah, about 37. That puts it at 38.4, 0.7, 39. So Republicans slightly overperformed President Biden versus Donald Trump. Though really I probably should not include the Libertarian, but because that was in there because there was a Libertarian in the presidential race in New Mexico, but certainly Aubrey Dunn needs to be included simply because she was a statewide elected Republican. So I am including that. I'm still going to include her for forecasting purposes in the future. And I will say this, Stansbury did outperform Deb Haaland from her House race. So do we consider this a movement towards the Democrats or a movement towards the Republicans, considering Moores and Dunn did outperform Donald Trump and Stansbury didn't really outperform Biden? I think at the very least this is no real movement one way or another. Maybe a very slight move towards, well, depending on which race you use as your benchmark, you can get a different result. I would say overall, if you average the two out, this race is not really conclusive in terms of who has momentum. You could say that there is no momentum, or you could say that New Mexico, and specifically the 1st Congressional District, are unique in in that it's a fairly inelastic district because it has a lot of Albuquerque in it, which I think would be a reasonable comparison. And that New Mexico is very sparsely populated, so one election to another is not really going to highlight too many differences unless it's a major shift or a major trend that gets highlighted. If all other things are equal, New Mexico seems to be a state that is relatively immune to national trends unless you're George Bush and are getting close to winning the Latino vote nationally, or Donald Trump and somehow have a massive appeal to Latino voters, especially in rural areas. But that is we don't actually know quite yet what to think about that. So, the end of the day, I don't really see much movement, and I don't really see much that can be useful for the upcoming midterms. Especially because redistricting is going to throw things completely out of whack. Texas, useful. Some of the other special elections were useful. It's just this one, it's inconclusive at best. And maybe we can chalk that up to maybe the Republicans don't have that much momentum, considering that that one district so far has gone more Democratic than it otherwise would be, and 2 races have gone far more Republican than they otherwise would be expected to go. This one is about where you would have expected it, so inconclusive at best is my review. I want to thank everybody for watching. Of course, likes, comments, and subscriptions, they always do help, and I greatly appreciate them. And likes and comments, of course, they help me fight the algorithm and have the algorithm not hate me. And subscriptions, well, I'd like to reach 1,000 by the end of the year. So far this week, we've really still grown pretty significantly, so I'm very happy about that, and I want to see that continue. I'm going to leave it here. Have a very, very lovely evening, everyone. Bye-bye.